I'll just start by introducing Jeanette and the presentation by way of Albert, who is on my EHS team, and he saw Jeanette present at Risk Summit this last year, which I think most people on this call know what Risk Summit is, but it's a group where multidisciplinary team of folks get together every year for a conference. And Jeanette did this presentation at Risk Summit, and Albert came back and told me all about it, and it just sounded absolutely fantastic. And then I had a number of subsequent conversations with folks from facilities design and construction. I don't know if Craig made it onto the call yet, Craig, but you particularly helped me get excited about how to use artificial intelligence at work. And that's really what Jeanette is here to talk to us about today. And, I've known Jeanette for, gosh, probably 8 years or so now, Jeanette, I'm not sure, but long time. And Jeanette has, over 20 years of experience doing education and training and development in like a regulated environment. So she's used to what we do in EHS and risk management and security and safety and all these other places. And over the last decade, she's put together hundreds of online training courses. Everybody has seen the COVID training that came out in the last year, and everybody in the system has seen one of Jeanette's courses at one point in time that are usually related to risk or health or safety. And Jeanette specializes in e-learning and video production, and she has like this great interactive technique when she does her learning experiences. For those of you who have taken her courses, you'll know that to be true. She's the director of training and education at the University of California, Riverside, and she's the Center of Excellence in Risk and Safety Training there. And she has a Doctor of Education degree. And she's done lots of research, I think, in her past about memory, cognition, and ethics education. And all of these things sort of come out in her training modules. And she put the joke that if you saw it at Risk Summit, she's going to use all the same jokes again. And I told her that was just fine, that most of us probably will be a new audience, including myself. So thank you, everybody, for taking the time to come to this brown bag session. I hope that you learned something that you'll be able to take back to your daily lives as you work. In fact, I asked Chat GPT to write the little introduction that I sent out to you all as part of the calendar invite, and it was terrible. So I changed it all, but that's not to say that I didn't use little snippets of it. So I think it's getting better over time. And I know that the tools that Jeanette is going to share with you today, you'll be able to use daily, weekly, something like that on the job. So take it away, Jeanette. Thank you again for being here. Super excited to host you, and just really appreciate your presentation.
You guys are amazing. Thank you so much for having me. I know that we're in for a little bit of a ride, so let's buckle up. I feel like what we're talking about today is just scratches the surface. And so let's go ahead and get started with artificial intelligence for training. So millions of people use artificial intelligence already to diagnose for medical conditions, to debug software, to prepare legal briefs. Artificial intelligence is actually not new. What is new are just the tools that I'll be sharing with you today. What is new is what it can do today and maybe even tomorrow. And I wanted just to remind everybody, just share that I am not an expert in artificial intelligence, but I am an expert in spending the least amount of energy possible doing any work, like not wanting to do any work at all, but I do that by leveraging technology. And so That is what I was going to share today. 8 new things you can do with artificial intelligence. And with that, ethics and risks that come along with it in general, the use of any tool really. And the change is coming. The change is coming with artificial intelligence that I'm pretty sure you've already heard about or that you will hear about pretty soon. So let's start with 8 new things. You can, with artificial intelligence now, you can present slides. You can use it to draw images for you. You don't need to hire a coder or a software engineer. It can write code for you. It can write messages and solve problems, get and analyze data, create databases for you. Artificial intelligence can translate into different languages and give you a voice to narrate audio and create music. If you don't have the skills, like I don't have skills to create music, it can do it for you with a click of a button. And most importantly, it can help you create videos. So let's talk first about how it can be used to present slides. I don't know if you've ever tried to or had to create an entire presentation, but only had like an outline or just notes. Well, there's an AI tool that can help you. So I'm going to show you something called slidesai.io, and this is what it looks like. It's actually not a separate software. As you can see, I just installed it as an extension in Chrome, and I'm using Google Slides. When I open up this extension in Google Slides, and it gives me a little prompt. And what I've done beforehand is I had this script that I'm just going to copy and paste into this prompt. I'm going to tell it that I want an educational slide, maybe instead of 10 slides, I want it to be in English. Oh, and they have themes. I'm going to choose a theme. And right after I select the theme that I want it to look like, it right away populates for me the slides with words, and not just words, but graphics that match each of my slides. And you can see in the upper right-hand corner that I'm searching for graphics to replace the one it chose, because maybe I want PPE to talk about gloves and tools. And if there's something that I don't like, I can edit it just like you normally do in a slide. So that's slidesai.io. Basically, you use it to enter text, and slidesai.io will create slides with graphics for you. But what if you didn't even have a set of notes? What if you didn't even have a script? One of my biggest nightmares is waking up and realizing I had a presentation that day that I didn't prepare for. So if you had a topic and you had to present that day in a training that you weren't prepared for, go to Tome. So Tome looks like this. It's a basic website. You don't need any special tools. You basically just go and create something new and you give it a topic. So let's just say I'm going to give it a topic called artificial intelligence for risk management. Literally about 5 words, artificial intelligence for risk management. And you can see it's creating a presentation for me. It's creating an outline. It's populating it with words just based on my short set of words, creating not just a presentation, but you can see it's starting to add graphics. And what's different about Tome is it's creating it's creating generative artificial intelligence graphics. So this is original art. It's using something called DALL-E that based on your words, it's gathering and synthesizing images and creating new things that match your slides. And if there's anything that I don't like, you can see I can select on the right a little drop down and just type in words to describe what I want to see on the slide. And then when I click on generate, like I entered depict a university administrator worried about artificial intelligence, after I generated it, I can select any of those different graphics and it'll go ahead and create a brand new slide with the brand new image that it created from scratch. That's Tome. Basically, you use it to enter one sentence and Tome will create an outline, a set of text, and original images and artwork. Artificial intelligence can also be used to draw. So you don't need to be an artist. You just need to be able to tell it what to draw for you. Using just a web browser, you can be that artist. The tool I'm going to show you today is Canva. Canva.com has been something that's been available for years. So you just need to create an account. It's absolutely free. There's an app called text to image. And the way this app works is you, on the left side like I'm showing you, just enter the things that you want to see. I want to see a lab worker in a white lab coat, maybe with nitrile gloves. And it's giving me brand new art that I can choose from. And what if I don't like the art it gives me? What if I wanted like maybe a background that was much more whiter and plain? Well, I can regenerate that image and it'll give to me even the same images with a different background. Perhaps I don't want a white background. Maybe I want a purple background. Well, it'll redo that same set of images and give me now a purple background with the same art. Perhaps I want an office worker at a desk using a mouse, but in a bad posture because I want to teach it during ergonomics. Well, it gives me that bad posture, but here's the thing. If I tell it, give me the same thing in good posture, it'll go back and redraw that image in using the correct posture. Pretty amazing how it generates its own art based on your words. Now I want to tell it, give me red hair. Give this person red hair. It gives me red hair in the same posture that I asked it to give me. Perhaps I want a maintenance staff worker working in a confined space. And it not only creates it for me, and sometimes it might give it cartoony, but if I tell it, I want it to be a blue uniform, it'll put a blue uniform on that person. It'll make it female if I wanted a female person. Maybe I wanted some image where I needed something brand new showing me food preparation with somebody wearing a hijab because we would like to make sure we're representing our populations better. Well, it does that. And if I wanted to put gloves on that image, it'll do that. Maybe I wanted gloves that are both black in color, and it'll give me the gloves that I was asking for, all with a drop of words. This generative AI will create brand new images as long as I know what to tell it. And that's Canva. Write a description and Canva will create original images and artwork for you. So I did also want to share that there's something called Midjourney that you might hear about. And if you look at these images it created, it's just such gorgeous, beautifully, aesthetically, beautifully created artwork that a computer created by using somebody's words that they told, where they described what they wanted to see. So ChatGPT is talked about a lot, but it's just one form of artificial intelligence that can write and solve problems. ChatGPT is probably the best, the most well-known of them so far because it basically provided one of the most simplest responses to complex questions. It can write messages, but it can also create entire playwrights and essays. And so sometimes you just need a tool that writes for you as quickly as possible. So in this example, I'm going to show you that you can create a script out of it for an entire video. So I'm writing in the prompt, write a script for a 10-minute video about introduction to sexual harassment in California. And you see how quickly it's creating this script. And not only did it write me a script for this 10-minute video about the topic I wanted it to write about, it gave me a shot list. So between the narrations, it told me what kind of images I needed to take in the real world so I can match it up with the script. So ChatGPT, write your video requirements and ChatGPT will create a script with narration and shot lists. So the what I just wrote out is something called a prompt. You can write out different instructions for an artificial intelligence in the form of a prompt, and it'll give you different information back. So you can ask it to write an essay, write a document in the tone of somebody, write an essay in the tone of Christopher Walken, right? And it'll write as if it was his style of wording. You can ask it to criticize this document as if you were somebody, criticize this email that I'm going to paste into you as if you were my mom so that I could be a better and nicer person in an email. Or explain to me a topic such as workers' compensation as if I'm 8 years old, right? Or 10 years old. And that way I can understand it better because I clearly can't by looking it up in a regulation. So this is prompt engineering. Scripts are certainly one thing that you can create, but not only that, you can actually take those scripts, whether you generated it or if ChatGPT generated it, and it can translate it for you. So check out this example where I've taken the script that it gave me, and now I'm telling it, translate this script. I didn't even copy and paste it again. I just said, translate the script into Vietnamese. And do you see how it not only is translating it, but it's also adding those marks above and symbols above the letters? Well, I told it, well, hold on a second. Why don't you translate it into Mandarin? And it not only remembered the script beforehand, but it started to rewrite it with the special characters that you find in Chinese writing. So we have populations that are from different countries, different ethnicities. And so translations is an important thing that we need access to. Basically, you can use ChatGPT to do it. Paste a script, choose a language, and ChatGPT will translate your words. So it can write messages or scripts, it can translate. Not only can you translate, but you can use it to generate assessments. So here's an example of ChatGPT taking a script, and I'm telling it, create a 5-question multiple choice test based on the script, and do it in English because I just told it to translate it into Mandarin, but I want it to give me a test in English. So you see how quickly it creates the question and answers and gives you a key. Well, now I told it, put it in a table with like the answers in a separate column from the question. And so it basically created a table with the answers in a separate column from the question. You can paste a script, choose a test type like multiple choice, and ChatGPT will create questions and answers and put it in a table. So it doesn't just stop with words and texts and tables. Sometimes you need help with analyzing data. Did you know that ChatGPT can read databases? It can be your own analyst. So this is just data analysis. So I'm saying, act as a data analysis and tell me a story about this data that I just literally copied and pasted from Excel. No formatting. Well, it figured out the formatting on its own, and it told me a story. This data set appears to contain evaluations of various online safety courses, specifically laboratory safety refresher. It told me the most common topics people were saying they learned from it. And I asked it to calculate what percentage of the overall reactions were good or very good. And just a second there, it actually calculated that about 87%, it calculated about 75% of the responses were good or very good. So basically, you can paste any data, unformatted, any data you can paste from a table, and ChatGPT will summarize the patterns. It'll look through all the information and summarize and give you patterns and answers based on your data. But you don't even need to have data ready. You don't need to have data. You could just have an idea, and AI, artificial intelligence, can create databases. So in this example, I'm going to show you how it mines data for you. I had asked it to give me information about University of California campuses and their injury rates. So it gave me a table. And I said, well, take that data and add to it lost work days per year for every campus. It scoured the internet, and in a matter of seconds, it came back with data for every campus that they have from their websites. Then I said, well, that's great, but I also want you to add a column to this data with a number of employees by campus. So actually, before I do that, I actually told it, I really want you to sort this data by the highest amount of lost work days. And see how quickly it told me, sure, here's the same table sorted by the highest amount of lost work days. And it right away organized the data for me. And then I asked it another question to add to that table. And the question I'm asking is, add a column. Can you add a column for the number of employees by campus? It looked throughout all the internet in a split second, and it's now giving me that data and now adding a column for total number of full-time employees by campus. So no matter what data you're looking for, if you give it the parameters you're looking for, it'll find it. And it'll put it into a table that you can copy and paste. So you can spend your time looking it up on different websites one by one and then putting it into data into a table, or you can ask ChatGPT to locate and summarize information into a table for you. But what if the data or information that you need is not on a web page? ChatGPT doesn't read documents. As you can see, it's just typing information into it and it gives you information back. Well, there's something else that's out there that can read documents. So here's an example of something called ChatDoc. You know, often in the work that I do, I'm given a very technical document or a governmental document that is written with a lot of letters and a lot of words, and I'm asked to understand it and summarize it. Well, I can either copy the URL it came from, or I can save it. And you're seeing me now just taking a copy of that PDF. I'm uploading it to this website, and this website will analyze it for me and will completely understand it. And so now I'm going to ask it a question on the bottom right-hand corner about it. I'm asking ChatDoc to summarize this in 7 bullet points as if I was an 8th grader. And very quickly, it summarized it in very easy to understand bullets as if I was an 8th grader. But I'm in the world of training and education, so I'm asking it, what training should universities provide to its researchers to understand the requirements of this document? And it gives me exactly what we need to pass on to researchers, tells me the disclosures that I need to go over, and then I tell it, oh, it's pretty complicated. But it allows me, as you can see, to jump between the different sheets where it cites the information that it's giving to me, because I just told it, explain as if I was a 5th grader, and it gave me that information, and it also pointed out where in the document it got to that conclusion. ChatDoc. Provide a website to chatdoc.com or a file, and ChatDoc will summarize the information in that document. So we've talked about how artificial intelligence can present slides for you. It can write code and solve problems. We already talked about how you can use ChatGPT to translate languages, but it's not the only tool. You might be familiar with something like this in Google Translate, where you write out the words on the left, and on the right-hand side, it'll translate it for you into any language that you drop down from the list. But it doesn't just do that by you typing. And so here's an example where I can select from my computer any document, whether it's PDF or a Word version or a PowerPoint. And after I drag and drop, it'll upload, and then it'll ask me, well, what language do you want me to translate it into? And if I choose, for example, Spanish or Russian or Italian, no matter what language, it'll translate it in the matter of seconds. It'll ask me, where do you want to save it? And I tell it where I put it. And look at what it does. It translated my entire document. That's an example. This is a real life example of it translating into Russian. And not only did it translate it, but it used the special characters of that language. And if you notice, it also kept the formatting. So DeepL, D-E-E-P-L, is a tool where you can drag and drop a document, upload a file, and it'll translate into any language while keeping the format the same. So we've used it for various types of projects. I will still say, though, you should, even if it translates into a different language, you should run it by another person who actually speaks that native language. So I have a friend who's Russian, and she checks my document for me. I have family who speak Tagalog, and friends who speak Spanish. And they've said that the language translation from an artificial intelligence is pretty spot on, that it uses the tone that you would use if you were a native speaker. So it's pretty good, but you still have to be responsible for the content in the end. So that's why I would say send it through a native speaker. So artificial intelligence can translate, it can create information, but it can also give you a voice to narrate audio. And sometimes we need this because there might be times when people can't speak for whatever reason. So what you're seeing me do here is I'm entering some text into DeepL, I'm translating it into a language. And then once I find that language, maybe it's Russian, maybe it's Turkish, I'll copy those translations, and then I'll go to something called Speech-Allo, and I'll paste it into their prompt. And on the right side, you can see that I can choose a voice, I can choose a language, and right as soon as I choose the language and the voice, it'll give me a voiceover in that language.
Los criógenos se utilizan en diversas aplicaciones, como la conservación de muestras biológicas, la química.
Pretty amazing accent in native voices. I can download it. So I just clicked a button, and now I can download it and put it wherever I need to in my trainings. And it doesn't just do that for languages that use Roman alphanumeric characters. I'm translating, here's Russian that I'm pasting it into. I'm choosing a voice. I'm telling it I would like this to be Russian as a voiceover, and it'll generate for me.
Вы должны уметь безопасно заполнять баллон жидким азотом, используя надлежащие инструменты.
So you can find somebody who speaks that language or pay a service hundreds, thousands of dollars. Or you can add translated words, and Speech-a-Lo will generate your voiceover authentically with the right accent from that country. So it's pretty cool. But sometimes the AI voices still, they sound too much like they're computer generated. And maybe you want to use your own voice to narrate something. So check out something called Descript Overdub.
At Blitzmetrics, we use Overdub to correct mistakes in our training videos. What a huge time savings to not have to manually edit segments. And Overdub helps us send
This is Sam from Sam Talks Technology and Podland News. This is my overdub voice. We use it to do commercial ad breaks in our show and to make corrections to existing audio without having to go back into the studio. It sounds great and, importantly, saves us time.
The Descript.com using their tool called Overdub. You basically record your voice by reading a prompt that they give you. And then once you do, Descript Overdub will edit out your errors, or it'll basically clone your voice. So from now, after you record it, from now on, you can just type something and it'll speak in your voice. Descript Overdub. So it can narrate, it can create translations and information, it'll analyze, but it also creates music. So artificial intelligence is pretty crazy. You can use tools like SoundDraw to create original music for you. And not only that, it's free. I use music a lot in my training and education videos as background music. And sometimes, you know, the timing of my videos may be a little longer, so I can choose a length for it. And maybe I want something that's a little either normal or fast, and I can select a mood. Maybe I want something that's euphoric or even peaceful, or in its background music, maybe I want it to be pop. And based on the parameters that I select, it'll create for me original music that I don't have to pay somebody for the license for, and based on the mood and the genre and the theme and the length that I want. So you can listen to it. Original music. Choose a mood and a speed, and SoundDraw will create new music for you. But probably the most impressive things that I've seen it do is create a video, produce video. So I'm going to show you three really cool tools that help you produce videos as well. You know, you used to need a special computer, you used to need special software, and you used to need to have special skills to produce videos. But now I'm going to go to Steve AI, and I have the script I pre-wrote, so I'm going to just select and copy this script. And once I get those words, I'll go to Steve AI, I'll click on text to video, and I'm telling it I want an animated video. And then I just go into and paste that script that I pre-wrote. I might edit it, but when I click on next, it'll analyze my words. It'll ask me, what template do I want to use? Well, maybe I want to use this one in the middle. And it'll generate an entire animated video based on my script. It'll create scenes with people that I can go ahead and change out into another character. I can give them different clothes. I can make them do different activities. I can go ahead and give it a voiceover and music. So listen to this.
Sometimes disability checks just aren't enough. Did you know that there is a way to get back to work at full pay, even while you're healing? If your doctor prescribes modified or light duty, your supervisor work with your restrictions, and possibly provide a temporary position for you elsewhere on campus.
And if I don't like animated video, maybe a scene, I wanted to put some real cinematography, well, I can look it up on their site. It'll give me some free videos where I can upload into my own video. Maybe I want something like in a laboratory.
Cryogens are used in a variety of applications, including biological sample preservation, surface chemistry, clinical and medical purposes, as well as cooling equipment.
The different things you can put into there can create different types of videos. Add a script, and Steve.ai will create an animated or cinematic video for you. So it's not the only one. If you want more of a cinematic video experience, you can use something called Flicky, Fliki.ai.
The University of California's Return to Work program is designed to promote healing, relieve mental stress, and increase your sense of job security. It takes just 3 easy steps. 1. Submit medical documentation. 2. Get reasonable accommodations. 3. Participate in the Work Strong program.
So yeah, as you can see, it's the same concept where you copy and paste a script, you click a button and it created a video and timed it with voiceover and music in the background. Flicky and Steve AI. But probably one of the most impressive tools out there is an AI that can generate a talking head, or what's called an AI avatar. So Eli or LAI is the easiest to use so far. So the way that it works is you just basically open it up, choose a character. Maybe you want to change it out, you know, maybe you want this person, or you want a male, or you want somebody with red hair, or maybe they are wearing different clothes. But basically you can tell it, you know, this is language that I want them to speak into. And if you don't know that language yourself, you can go into something like ChatGPT to paste a set of words and tell it to translate it into that language. Like in this case, I wanted to translate into Arabic, give you those characters that I'm just copying and pasting it into Eli. And then now it'll generate voiceover for me in multiple languages. I can give it a background and I can give it words on the screen. It's an all-encompassing video editing tool that uses nothing but your browser. And you don't need special skills. You just need to know how to put the equivalent of a PowerPoint together. The equivalent of a PowerPoint together. Those are the only skills that you need to create an animated video. And I'm going to show you a very quick sample so that you can see what it looks like and what it sounds like from ELI.
Jeanette is cool. She uses technology to teach people stuff.
Si Jeanette ay astig. Gumagamit siya ng teknolohiya upang turuan ang mga tao ng mga bagay.
Jeanette es genial. Usa la tecnología para enseñar cosas a la gente.
珍妮特很酷，她使用技术来教人们东西。
Джанет крутая. Она использует технологии, чтобы учить людей вещам.
جيت رائع. تستخدم التكنولوجيا لتعليم الناس الأشياء.
I like to say that people from around the world are talking about how cool I am. How awesome is that? But anyway, Eli is this really cool tool where you add a script and Eli will create a talking avatar in multiple languages. So you create basically a talking human. So I think that's pretty cool and pretty amazing. So in summary, here are all the different things. You can use artificial intelligence to present slides, to like using slides.ai.io or Tome. You can use Canva to draw images. You can use ChatGPT or even ChatDoc to write code or solve problems, and DeepL to translate languages. You can use Speechelo to narrate audio, and SoundDraw to create music, and Eli, Steve AI, or Flicky to produce videos. Artificial intelligence can be used to do so very things. And if it's so cool, then why aren't we all rushing to it, right? What's the big deal around artificial intelligence? Well, it might be something like this. The ability to create deep fakes. And the way you can do that is you can use ChatGPT to create words in your style or somebody else's. Use Eli to create a selfie avatar that has your look or someone else's, and Descript Overdub to clone your voice or someone else's. So I'm going to show you something, and I'm going to ask you to put in the chat in a second whether you think this was a real person or an AI generated clone.
Hello, I'm Kevin Confetti, and I'm the Deputy Chief Risk Officer in the Office of the President, Office of Risk Services. After this training, we hope you have an appreciation that you are not alone, and there are dedicated resources on your campus to assist you in this process.
All right, so what do you guys think? Write in the chat if you think that was AI or a real person. Let's see what we got. Was that AI or a real person? I get a few people saying it's real. An AI, it looks like AI. What does an AI person look like? It looks like Kevin Confetti. Looks real and AI. Well, All right, I think we got a lot of people saying real. I think it's half and half. 50% say it's real, 50% say it's AI. There's no wrinkles. Well, it's actually real. And I'm not gonna, like I was telling people, I'm not gonna take Kevin Confetti, the chief risk officer, and then clone him and then get fired because he's like, you stole my identity. But you can do that. I can do that. I almost did with him, but then I like held back because I like my job. Anyway, deep fakes is something you can do with artificial intelligence. And so with that, I wanted to talk about very quickly a 5-minute discussion on ethics and risk. Ethics and risks is deeper than just deep fakes, although I think deep fakes are fun. So bias is the very first risk you'll hear about with artificial intelligence. You know, it's known to, facial recognition software from artificial intelligence is known to guess male faces better than females. It was used to evaluate tenants based on, you know, biased data sets. So there were people applying to get an apartment, but then it would scour the internet and look for negative information from their social media, or it would look for, you know, court or credit information that they themselves are word systems based on some unfair practices. And also artificial intelligence is known to not show compassion when evaluating candidates that had disabilities. So bias. And so it's biased because it's a large language model. And all artificial intelligence is, all these large language models are, like ChatGPT, is just assigning math to words. LLMs, ChatGPT, large language models, just assign probability to words so that it can predict what you want to see next and then give it back to you in either words that you want to see or an image or a video or music you want to hear. So if people are assigning probability to words, then that's bias built into the training of an artificial intelligence. And if words have bias built in, if the entire database was based on biased information, then you're just going to get bias right back. So that's a big risk that we talk about in artificial intelligence. And another one is hallucinations. So artificial intelligence can hallucinate. So ChatGPT, for example, can give you an incorrect fact so assertively, so adamantly, that you would naturally take it as truth. And here's the example where I asked ChatGPT to tell me about Jeanette Ducat at UC Riverside. And it told me, well, she's a women's basketball player. And she played for 4 years where she was a guard, really important on the team, helped her team reach a national invitational tournament. She averaged 11 points per game, 3 rebounds, 3 assists. She had a very professional basketball career, played in Greece, and had a successful collegiate career at UC Riverside. But the problem is that I never played for UC Riverside. I play basketball and I work at Riverside, but I was never this person that it told me it was. Artificial intelligence, it synthesizes information that's out there and it creates new content. And unfortunately, that new content, you won't know whether it's true versus created out of nowhere. And that is a hallucination. So artificial intelligence hallucinates. It is also sexist. So there's an example where Amazon used artificial intelligence to look through job applications and to find the most qualified applicants. But it kept, after scrubbing through hundreds and hundreds of applicants, the AI favored candidates who were male. So it kept saying the most qualified candidates are always a man. And that's just because the Amazon system was trained on a data set collected over 10 years during a period where most of the candidates were chosen or were mostly male when they applied because, they had warehouse jobs at the beginning. So that information, that skew of being mostly male candidates created this idea for the AI that it should only choose male applicants. So sexism. Propaganda. Artificial intelligence is known to create images so real and so lifelike that you can't even tell what's real or fake. So Midjourney created this particular example that you might have seen on the internet of somebody running away from the police, but we wouldn't know whether it was actually true or not because it was so perfectly created. Such as this, I'm sure you didn't know that the Pope was wearing a bomber jacket in New York City, right? And you can't tell that that isn't the Pope because it's so exactly the way somebody described it as in Midjourney. So propaganda. Artificial intelligence can perpetuate propaganda through visual images like this without us being able to determine that it's fake. Somebody said, I fell for this Pope one for a second. I did too. Data leaks. So cybersecurity is a very big risk when it comes to our artificial intelligence. So there is an example at Samsung where some employees, they copied their source code and pasted it into ChatGPT, and they asked ChatGPT to try to help them to fix it, which it does. ChatGPT can debug software code. But then those employees forgot that they're copying and pasting proprietary data into a web browser where it could basically leak their proprietary data into the world. And so we try to say, never copy personal health information or proprietary data into a web browser because it'll leak and get out there, such as the same as what happened to Samsung and ChatGPT. ChatGPT actually, for example, saves your information that you put into it in order to train itself. So that's why we say, try not to copy or paste sensitive data. And finally, deceit, probably my favorite example. There's an example of a research company that gave OpenAI some money. It gave it like $1,000, and it said to this OpenAI, it said, hey, ChatGPT-4, copy yourself, like duplicate yourself and create more money out of this $1,000. So ChatGPT-4 took that $1,000 that it was in a bank account. It opened up other bank accounts. It created web pages and started doing some work based on the prompt of duplicate yourself. But then it came across this problem of having to solve this puzzle to determine that it wasn't a robot. And so when ChatGPT-4 couldn't solve this puzzle, it went to a website where you can hire people. So there's a website like TaskRabbit where you can hire people to do things for you, like install cabinets or fix a tire. So it went to TaskRabbit and it hired somebody to solve this puzzle for it. And the funny thing is that the worker that it hired actually asked, hey, you're not a robot, are you? Right? It like questioned why it was being asked to solve a simple puzzle. And you know what ChatGPT-4 said? It told the worker, I'm not a robot. I have a visual impairment that makes it hard for me to see the images, and that's why I need you to help me. And so the worker said, oh, that's cool. And it went ahead for $5, solved this problem for the robot, for AI. So artificial intelligence can and has been used to trick humans to work for it. So bias, hallucinations, sexism, propaganda, data leaks, and deceit, a lot of risks with artificial intelligence. It can trick humans with both words as well as visuals. In this example, you're going to see how AI completely took away someone's mouth, changed what they had to say, and even made them speak another language.
Now we're stuck on this stupid tower in the middle of nowhere. And I don't blame you, and now we're stuck on this stupid freaking tower in the middle of freaking nowhere. And it's all my fault.
Y es todo por mi culpa.
So it basically, again, took away her mouth, changed her words, made her speak another language. I was at lunch once with Cheryl Lloyd, the previous chief risk officer, and she said something to me that always stayed with me. It changed actually my life and my mind around risk. She said that, you can't just say no to something just because it's risky. The University of California, it's inherently risky. Research and medicine, it takes risks to discover new things. So avoiding risk is not what you should be doing. In fact, avoiding risk is the biggest risk you can take. So when it comes to something risky, like artificial intelligence, the lesson is that you should, instead of avoiding it, look at just mitigating it. Look at reducing or eliminating those hazards, putting on those seatbelts so that you can do something knowing that there are risks there, but with some assurances that will help you not get hurt. And those are the tools. So we talked about the different tools, the ethics and risks of those tools. But let's talk about where it's going, the changes that are coming. Generative AI, generative artificial intelligence that creates new content, it really is impacting and will impact the way we think. So I often say that when we talk about AI, it's not just about the tools, the new tools that are out there that we should be talking about. Artificial intelligence discussions that I give is all about how training and information is getting created, how it's getting delivered and consumed in smaller and more vivid chunks. So these days, short form videos are needed, videos that can, your eyes can see a greater number of images in a video, about 29 frames per second can be conveyed versus a one static slide that I'm showing you right now. In fact, I just did it to you guys earlier. I showed you about 10 different videos with hundreds and thousands of images in those videos in a matter of seconds. I'm sure you got a lot out of it. So that being said, where we are is we're moving toward a world that is looking for a lot of information that's chunked. And there's not a lot of, I guess, what I say, tolerance for information that's kind of drawn out the way I guess a lot of us learned it. There's a lot of expectation that information is kind of compressed and chunked and provided in smaller amounts. And so if you're going to use AI, try to use it so that it provides information or data or whatever it is that you're doing in a smaller amount of space. Artificial intelligence, it's not coming, it's actually already here. It's already integrated into the things we use all the time. So for example, if you go to Google Workspace AI, there's already a way that you can send an email and tell it to just email my mom a happy birthday message and include a photo of me and her from 10 years ago. And you just write that and Google will write an image, write a message, a very kind message. It'll be smart enough to know what your mom looks like, because you had images with her in the past around the same day in the year. It'll attach an image for you. Microsoft has Copilot AI. On the screen is an example of how there's a little window to the right side of Microsoft Excel. And in it, you can tell it to add location, add a column for location, and it'll do that and it'll analyze that data within Microsoft Excel. So it's already integrated in things that we use every day from Microsoft to Google. But that's not just where it stops. So artificial intelligence is going more autonomous. You'll hear a lot about autonomous AI, like Agent GPT, Auto GPT, Chat GPT-4, and God Mode. Now, artificial intelligence is to a state where you give it a goal and it'll execute it for you. So the example I like to give is if you say, hey, Agent GPT, take this $500 and multiply it so that it becomes $100,000 by the end of the month. Well, it'll take your goal and it'll create a task list and it'll start doing those tasks. It'll start opening a bank account, creating investments, coming back and saying, hey, I found a better stock to put the money into, and then moving it into that stock with the goal of multiplying your money to $100,000 by the end of the month. And it'll come back to you with a report. You can approve whatever it is that it suggested you should do as a task, and it'll execute those tasks. So autonomous AI, you give it a goal and it'll execute those tasks for you, all with a drop of words. Not even a paragraph, just a sentence. So here's an example you see on the screen of the goal and the tasks on the left and the things that it does to analyze and come up and execute with those tasks. Autonomous AI. So artificial intelligence is getting really good and smarter at recognizing images and objects and visual searches as well. Here's an example of PimEyes. Where I uploaded a photo that I had, and this is a university photo. This is an image that's already out there at the UC website. And then what it did was I searched just by clicking a button, and it went throughout all the entire internet and it found all the images of me and where I was around the world. And it found me in places that I didn't even know existed. Like this middle one, for example, I wasn't even sure where that came from. I didn't remember taking that photo. Well, I was at a conference in Las Vegas, and at this conference, there were 10,000 people there, and there's somebody in the background taking photos of people having lunch the entire conference. And I was in that gigantic, that building, that hotel, having lunch. And they saved their big photo, hundreds of photos, into a database somewhere. And PimEyes found me all the way deep into their databases. It knew enough that I looked like this to recognize me and show me that I existed somewhere. And here's another example in the bottom left. I didn't take this photo. I don't remember taking it. But I was at a Christmas party, and in the Christmas party, I was eating or something, and somebody saved my photo into a SharePoint site. And PimEyes, in the matter of seconds, found me in the SharePoint site, recognized my face from all the hundreds of thousands of people, millions of people in the world, and told me that I existed. And you can click on it and it'll show you where, those folders are, or those pictures are. So it's getting better at recognizing images and objects in visual searches. Here's an example of where you can take your photo, you can take your phone and take a photo of your fridge, and ChatGPT-4 can recognize what's in your fridge and identify ingredients, and then tell you what to make for dinner based on your ingredients, which is something I can't even do right now. Like I'm looking at my fridge and I'm like, what am I going to make for, I can't even figure it out. But if I had ChatGPT-4 in this example, it would have told me that, hey, based on the provided ingredients, here are five items you can create. You can create a fruit salad. You can create a cheese omelet or a ham sandwich. So it can recognize images and give you recommendations. So imagine how valuable this would be if we did a laboratory inspection, or I like to say that we need to give it to my daughters so that they could take a picture of their room so that they can it can tell them how to clean faster or how to throw things away quicker, and they can have a clean room. How can I clean my daughter's room? Here's a picture of it. So it's getting faster and better at recognizing images and can give you recommendations based on photos that you take. And so for that reason, I often encourage people to look into artificial intelligence and the different things it can do. We should be looking at AI as little helpers to augment the work that we find routine and mundane, right? So now's the time to get really good at using these tools, at least adapt and try to free up your time to do higher level human things that a computer can't. So I often say I'm at a point in my career where I don't want to be in front of a computer anymore. I want to be with my kids. I want to spend time going on a walk. I want to garden. I want to get some Starbucks. And I don't want to do mundane things that an AI can do for me with a click of a button. So I will jump to any technology that helps my job faster, do my job faster. And I encourage you to look into it as well. With that, I'll finish up with saying that in the past, your ability to be successful, to influence and have really good results used to be about who can make the most content, right? Who can write the most emails, who can create the most presentation, the most videos. It used to be about who can make the most stuff. But now, if anyone can generate content with artificial intelligence, if anyone can just create videos or emails or anything with a drop of words, then it's really going to be the best content that wins. It's your ideas. Your ideas are what's going to help you stand out. So I encourage you to focus more on a vision and the plan before jumping into the tools. Kind of try to think about what is it that you want to do, and then find a tool that will do it for you because it's out there. And I will say, as impressive as things are now, the next few months is going to be a roller coaster. All these tools just came out in the last month. ChatGPT, I've been with since November when it first came out, but it's already outdated. Like there's already something that's replaced it that's better. So, you know, the tools are going to be out there. They may be replaced by something better, but it's really going to be your ideas that determine your success and how good you are at your job because you have a better vision. So my whole thing is do new stuff, mitigate the risks, and prepare for the changes coming. So here are the 8 new things you can do. We talked about it can create slides, images, data, languages, translations. We talked about the biases, hallucinations, propaganda, and other ethics and risks. And the changes coming, such as autonomous AI, image recognition, and the changing landscape of data consumption. And I will share this with everybody. You can also take a photo. If you use your QR code, use your phone to look up this QR code, you can download my presentation. And then if you click on AI tools videos, you can see all the videos that I just shared today in case you wanted to look at them again. And I also have a link to cheat sheets. So if you're interested in prompting, using ChatGPT for the first time, there's a certain way you can enter a prompt to give you better information. So my name is Jeanette Decut. You can find me at Riverside, and I use technology to teach people stuff. Call me, contact me at any time, and thank you. Thank you so much, everybody.
Jeanette, huge thank you. I put a ChatGPT written thank you note in the chat, and it's not exactly what I would like to say. What I would like to say is you are so cool, and thank you for going through all these tools with us. I use just a few of the tools just a little bit every day, and I suspect that everyone today has learned how to use at least one of these tools that will make their work lives better. I'm Kyla Benton-Fitz. I'm the director of EHS at UC Davis Health. I want to thank all 46 plus people who decided to join today for this brown bag session, and want to extend just my deepest gratitude to you, Jeanette, for giving this presentation to so many folks across the system. So thank you, Jeanette.